You want something to drink? Tea? Sorry, I don't have coffee. Do you live all alone in a house this big? She completely ignored my hospitality. As you can see. That's not very cost efficient. So what did you want to talk about? I sat opposite her and looked at her intently. My father used to work at Kobayashi Corporation. In fact, he used to work on the same project as your parents. His project is classified and I don't really know anything about it. But then they fired him and my father had to help my grandfather in a restaurant. Such rank ingratitude for such a talented scientist, Kagome said viciously. The details of her family situation didn't interest me much. So what then? A few days ago he was kidnapped by the corporation's people. Why are you so positive they were the corporation's people? Muscled men in black suits barged into the restaurant in the middle of the day and took my father away. Who else could they be? Did you have any business trouble? Maybe debts? No. I got Kagome worked up immediately. Our restaurant might be small, but we do honest business. Honesty is irrelevant in this case. You can be as holy as a hermit and have $1 million in debt. She gave me a dreadful look. What do you know? Hey, this isn't about me at all. We're doing all right, or at least not badly. Kagome finally answered my question properly. Did you try the police? Yes, but they just politely waved me away. Isn't it obvious that they even have the police in their pocket? Maybe, but sorry, I still don't understand. What does your story have to do with me or my parents? They all used to work on the project together. Maybe they were killed because of it. I didn't need Iwamura to tell me that, but I decided to keep my mouth shut. It was all very weird, sure, but on the other hand, even the secret project had to have more than 2 people working on it. My parents, Kagome's father, Ichinose, however many more. Maybe the corporation was just trying to eliminate everyone involved. They were killed. They died in a car accident. I said uncertainly. Do you really believe that? I'd like to help, but you do know my parents are already dead. So you know nothing? What could I know? I grinned wearily. Besides, what else do you know except what you've told me already? Kagome bit her lip, clicked her tongue, annoyed. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think it matters what you believe. So nobody from the corporation came to you. Never asked you anything. What about you? I'll just repeat the question. Nobody from the corporation. So from somewhere else? For a moment, I even wanted to tell her everything. Maybe just have another ally. However, thinking about it rationally, I had to admit Kagome wouldn't make a good one. Or so you think, sir. Kagome's a down bitch. We love Kagome in this household. The best ally. I mean, there was that stint where she kidnapped someone, but you know what? I'm able to look past it. She was too unstable. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Not that I knew her that well. I know her pretty well. No. Something tells me you're hiding something. As people in my country say, when something occurs to you too often, you should cross yourself. You really think I'd joke with something that might be related to my parents' death? Would you joke about your father being kidnapped? No, of course not. Sorry. She grew embarrassed and looked away. It's fine. I just really can't tell you anything else. By the way, how do you know about my parents? My father's friend told me everything. Did this friend also work on the project? Iwamura might be useful after all. No, I don't know. He's in danger too, so he didn't tell me much. By the way, I thought he'd been nagging at me for a while already. What's your father's name? Akira Shinji. Why? Akira Shinji. Pretty common name. It's nothing. Just wanted to know since he knew my parents. Does the name mean anything to you? Nothing at all. Of course it did. It was the person Ichinose had mentioned to me. But no matter how entertaining or curious this was, I hadn't learned anything new in the end. Well, yeah, he used to work on this project. Yeah, he was kidnapped. So what? Ichinose said he was probably killed already. I looked at Kagome's tense face and couldn't find the courage to tell her that. Not just out of concern for my own safety, but also because I couldn't destroy the last hope she had. I'm sure your father will turn up. How can you possibly be sure about that? Fine, I just wanted to cheer you up. Happy now? Kagome stood up. The best thing you could do would be to give me information. So if you learn anything, let me know right away. Got it? Got it, got it. I started at the gate and returned to the kitchen. I'd learned so much about my parents' life and death recently. As hard as it was to acknowledge, it seemed I hadn't known them at all. At least, I hadn't known the truth about their job. According to Catherine, they were suspected of espionage, weren't they? No, I couldn't believe that. I clearly remembered how we left the USSR, even if I had been only a child. When you're 7 years old, it's difficult to comprehend what adults feel and think, even to interpret their facial expressions, but a little person always has some sort of intuition. He or she just knows when something isn't right. And I did. My cold dinner, made from leftovers found in the fridge, seemed even more tasteless eaten alone. Something hurt in my chest, and I shivered as if cold, although it was pretty warm inside. The reason was obvious to me. I was used to Himitsu always being around, and now I could feel how much I missed her. Yep. Hell yeah. I'm loving this route so far. Now that he's really moved past Catherine, this thing's really picking up. I'm liking it. What do normal people do on the weekends? They play bass. Go to the countryside, to the movies or theater, visit amusement parks and bars, meet their friends. It all seemed distant and impossible to me, although any of the activities on that list could distract me from my dark thoughts and self-deprecation. I didn't even know what occupied a greater portion of my thoughts, the situation with the Kobayashi Corporation or my longing for Himitsu. The unresolved problem of Catherine was also tucked away somewhere in there. Don't even worry about that. Keep that tucked away. We don't talk about that. I woke up late and felt pretty alright, at least physically. Fridge didn't have anything for breakfast. Himitsu usually didn't buy enough groceries to last long term, probably because she didn't want them to spoil, and I wasn't a frequent guest at the store. But that didn't upset me much. I could always drop by the ramen shop. I was about to leave when the phone rang. Hello? Hey, Nick. Hey to you too. Not busy? Not that you could be busy with anything. True enough. What did you want? Mike and I want to go to the city center, visit some shops, maybe play at arcades. Wanna join? Yeah, sure. I replied without giving it much thought. I didn't really have any other options for spending the Saturday. And to be frank, I was glad that he called. Hell yeah, hitting the arcades with the boys. Kyosuke with his silly and inappropriate grin seemed to beam with positivity and optimism. Under different circumstances, it could seem pretty unpleasant, but now his good mood was in line with the situation. Michael was serious and focused as always. So how are you doing? He was looking up at me, right in the eyes, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I'm alright. And how's Himitsu-chan? Went to visit her grandma. So you've been left alone? Don't pretend like you care. Damn, Nick, you've become so moody. Have I really changed? I asked Michael. Tell me honestly, have I changed at all? He adjusted his glasses with a single precise motion. I wouldn't say so. Come on, Mike. Since Catherine-chan returned, our Nick hasn't been himself. He caught my annoyed glance. Not that I'm blaming him. His behavior is understandable if I was in his place. Enough already, Kyosuke. Michael said calmly, and Kyosuke went silent immediately, lowering his head. Why couldn't he do the same when I said it? Alright, what are we gonna do? Well, I have an idea. He rubbed his hands together ominously. The hours at the arcade flew by. Video games distracted me from my real problems, same, and allowed me to forget the outside world for a time. Oh wow, same. I wasn't as good as Kyosuke, but I managed to score way higher than Michael on every arcade machine. Which was nothing to be proud of. It was like a healthy athlete winning the Paralympic Games. The medal might be gold, but you're still an idiot. Oh my god. That just kind of clicked with me there. And the arcade didn't even have medals. By the time we walked outside, the sun was already setting. Hell yeah, spending all day gaming with the boys? God, doesn't get any better than that. It'd be cool if video games were recognized as an official sport. Okay, Kyosuke, whoa, such radical thinking for 1987. Playing soccer? Yeah, then I'd definitely be a champion. Nope, I won't live to see the day. I nodded phlegmatically. Phlegmatically. Phlegm. Why do you keep saying phlegmatic? I swear to God, look up some other words, please. Why? It's also kind of a sport. It requires quick reflexes and training. Kyosuke would spend entire days here, and of course, he played pretty well. It seemed to me that I could have easily beaten him if I spent as much time playing as he had. And that's what I always tell people. Honestly, it's true. Like, whenever I'm playing something, people are like, wow, you're good at this game. I'm like, nah, I've just been playing it for a long time. Like, I'm sure if you played it for as long as I did, you'd probably be just as good, if not better. More importantly, though, I had no desire to. Alright, let's go and eat already. I'd had a snack at the arcade, but it was time for a proper dinner. We went to a cafe and I ate until my stomach was full. Kyosuke walked off for a phone call, leaving me with Michael. So have you managed to talk to Catherine? Talk? About what? To sort out your relationship, so to say. Seemed like that was all we had been doing. We don't have any relationship anymore. Is that so? So you feel nothing for her? I looked at Michael closely, trying to figure out what he was getting at, but his face remained emotionless. Why are you asking? It's just if you two are done, I'd like to know about it. Don't tell me you've got your eye on her. Yes, I have been thinking about that, if you don't mind. He replied without a hint of embarrassment. So that's how it was. I wasn't even angry, just surprised. Although, to be honest, it felt unpleasant. I doubt there's a person alive who'd like it if his best friend started dating his ex-girlfriend. I wasn't one of those people, at least. What would my answer change? It's important for me to know your opinion. Don't you care about Catherine's? You, I can ask directly. I couldn't get rid of the feeling that all the ostensible courtesy and thoughtfulness was, in fact, a disgusting display originating from cowardice rather than a concern for a friend. Just by warning me about his intentions, he was trying to exonerate himself of responsibility for any possible consequences. That's quite a thing to say, bro. To be honest, I didn't expect that. But really, how do I feel about Catherine now? What would I feel if she started dating Michael? Absolutely nothing. Just a couple days ago, I'd have been able to answer that question easily. But now, after growing dangerously close with Himitsu, so what do you say? I can't say anything specific right now. Nah, fuck that noise. None of my business, man. I can't decide for you or Catherine. She has her own life. Indeed, we hadn't been in a relationship for a while, and it was stupid to think she'd be alone until retirement. Michael didn't react in any way, at least outwardly, simply saying, I got you. What are you going to do now? It's difficult for me to say right away, too. He smiled a little. But I assure you, this will not impact our friendship. Oh, I'm sure. Bro, Michael's always been a down homie. I swear to God, if any of these routes Michael turns out to not be a homie, I'm going to be so pissed, because I love Michael. Yeah, right. And if you decide you still love her, what's the point if she doesn't love me back? That's another matter. I'd say it's the same one. In that case, we'd become rivals, except you get a fresh start, you could say. Hey, how are you two doing without me? We were doing wonderfully. Go away. Kyosuke returned and defused the awkward situation. However, the conversation was far from finished. Oh, I'm so full. He adjusted his belt and sighed heavily. You should watch your weight. People say obesity will be the disease of the 21st century. Do they say that, Michael? Michael, are you a time traveler? Fairy tales. Sure, by then they'll invent some machine to pump all the fat out. I mean, they do have a machine to pump the fat out, but the problem is the machine doesn't stop the fat from coming back. Yeah, you can get that fat sucked right out your body, alright? Just sucked right out, no worries. It's gone. But then if you keep eating like shit, guess what? Oh, hey, it's back. Knock, knock. Guess who's home? It's fat. Yeah, and you'll be the guy to make it break. We laughed together. Hell yeah. Man, that's nice. Damn. This route kicks ass. Not only do we have, like, Nikolai and Himitsu having good moments, but we have Nikolai hanging out with the boys and just having a good time all around. Like, bro, this route rules. Like, I'm sure we're going to get back into the whole government conspiracy shit that's going on for sure. But, like, right now, bro, I'm having a great time. And yet, I was walking home thinking about Michael's words. I was going to say, if he said thinking about Catherine, I'm like, oh, I'm going to start swinging. It's one thing, like, I was thinking about Michael's words. He was talking about Catherine, but he was just like, I was walking home thinking about Catherine. I'm like, ah. The last few days I spent with Himitsu made me forget about Catherine, but she hadn't disappeared. In fact, she was still living her life. And so she would continue. She'd fall in love, marry, have children. And all this would happen without me. For the first time I wondered whether our paths were going to part forever. God, please. Unsurprisingly, I wanted to distract myself. I was just a few blocks away from my favorite bar when I remembered Himitsu's note about the dangers of heavy drinking. It wasn't that I felt ashamed for what I hadn't even done, but she was objectively right. I wonder what Catherine was feeling right now. She probably wasn't hanging out with her friends, if she had any at all. Was she at home, watching TV or reading a book? Doing homework or cleaning? How did she perceive loneliness? Did it impact her as strongly as me? Unfortunately, I couldn't find out. I couldn't just go and ask. Why though? Because Michael had set his sights on her? Ugh. How could I have been so wrong about him? On the other hand, he wasn't guilty of anything. Yeah, no, he's just a down homie. I reached my house and stopped. Old, with dark windows and a sunken porch. It looked almost abandoned. Had I been living here all alone? Had I been living here all alone, that would have been true. After all, Himitsu, with the regular cleaning, washing, and cooking, was responsible for the homely atmosphere of the house. Otherwise, the rare blinking light in the bedroom or kitchen would terrify the occasional passerby at night, inspiring ghost stories about the place. These thoughts, plus the ones about Catherine, were about to drive me crazy. I wonder if I still had the address of Himitsu's grandmother written down somewhere. What, you gonna go make a trip? I remember the house and the surroundings pretty well, but I had absolutely no idea where it was. I managed to find their telephone number pretty quickly. It was in my notebook as expected. Luckily, the address was written next to it. I grabbed the receiver and already dialed the number when I suddenly stopped. Of course, I wanted to hear Himitsu's voice, no matter what she was talking about, but the desire to see her in person was even stronger. Obsessive thoughts have always been a problem for me. If something pops into my head suddenly, and I can't stop thinking about it, I'm done. No matter whether it's about buying something stupid, drinking, or seeing Himitsu. Of course, I knew the idea was stupid. Yeah, it is. Oh, shit, the mic. Going to a village hundreds of kilometers from Tokyo at night without even a warning. The problem was that part of this particular obsessive idea was my desire to surprise her. I wasn't even worried about the fact that it would be a bigger surprise for her father. Well, at least I was going to have some hot Nikomans. I flipped through the notebook and found a taxi number. There was a good chance that the trains weren't going there anymore. It was pretty late. Even if they were, it would have taken too long. Meanwhile, I needed to leave this instant. Immediately. No, see... Now you're getting weird with it, homie. Before it was just like this nice moment, but now it's like, oh, I'm gonna be leaving for the weekend. You're just like, I need to see you. I need you. And it's like, bro, she's gone for the weekend. She'll be home eventually. You can see her then. She's not going anywhere. He's like, no, I want to go to the village. I want to surprise her. I want her. And it's like, no, don't be this way. You already suck, my dude. Like, don't make yourself worse. I phoned for a taxi, and they named what I thought was an outrageously high price, but my brain was already flooded with dopamine, and I had enough money. The car came at 9 with change. Really? The taxi driver turned out to be a chatterbox, which lifted my spirits, since it distracted me from my inner voice telling me how this whole thing was the act of a madman. Absolutely. This whole thing is fucking nutty. The fuck are you doing, my guy? This can't end well. There's no way you can just show up in the village like, hey, miss me. Like, come on, think about Ed. Remember what Ed said? About how you're dependent, you're all dependent. And it's like, you're running back to her, it's like, hey, I need someone to cook and clean for me, make my house feel more homely, because now it sucks that it's empty. It's like, wow, like, no, what the fuck, dude? Of course, the best thing I could have done was stay home and go to sleep. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no shit. That's exactly what you should have done. Stayed home, went to bed, and enjoyed the next day. But no, this weirdo says, yeah, let's hop in a taxi and drive hundreds of kilometers away just so I can surprise my girlfriend for one night out of fucking nowhere while she's with her parents. Like, that's not good, man. That's not good. But then I would have spent the entire night thinking that I wanted to go to Himitsu. That doesn't make it any better, though. If I didn't go, I spent the whole night thinking about how I should have gone. Like, okay, who cares? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I wanted to. And that was it. Soon I would have to face the consequences of my actions, but I had no desire whatsoever to think about that in advance. Of course you don't. God damn it. Oh, this is gonna be so cringy. I told the taxi driver that I was going to visit my girlfriend to surprise her, mentioning we'd been together for a long time. In a way, I wasn't even lying to him. He just smirked and gave me the standard tirade on youth and stupidity. I could imagine how he felt and lived, but I definitely couldn't imagine myself sitting behind the wheel 12 hours a day, bringing strangers to their destinations where they had some crucial business. Maybe conversations like this with people you only meet once is some sort of defensive reaction, supposed to protect against monotony and loneliness? Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. In that case, loneliness must be just as personal. When you see famous, successful people on TV, you think they're happy and satisfied with their lives. But you can't even imagine they also suffer from adversity and sorrow. From their own difficulties that don't resemble yours in any way. It's quite possible that what you consider happiness means nothing to them. I think Yesenin and Hemingway had a lot to say on the topic. Meanwhile, we left Tokyo, the dense city districts giving way to sparse countryside cottages. The autumn felt more prominent here. Woodland was all along the way, dressed in yellow and red. The temperature dropped a few degrees, so I closed the window. Mount Fuji was getting further and further from us and soon vanished completely beyond the horizon. The sun had already set and the rain started to drizzle as if unwillingly, drops falling slowly on the windshield. Ugh, it's such a long way back. The driver sighed. Do you know if there's a place to stay there? Hot springs, maybe? There's a little town nearby. It was more like a small village. If memory served, it would only take 10 minutes by foot to reach Himitsu's grandmother's house from there. That's where the taxi driver dropped me off. I bid him a warm goodbye and left to look for a hotel. My watch told me it was midnight. A new day was about to start. The town itself hadn't changed at all, although many years had passed since my last visit. There was nothing surprising about that, though. The long arms of Kobayashi Corporation and those like it were yet to reach out here, yet to build it up with shopping malls, movie houses, and stores filled with useless Chinese junk, and fill each and every square meter with monstrous apartment buildings instead of traditional Japanese houses. In this case, it probably just wasn't profitable, so the locals were lucky enough to not have their sleep disturbed. The steady, unbreakable rural Japanese lifestyle that existed for thousands of years was something I couldn't help but respect. This respect grew even stronger when I compared it to what I considered long outdated social norms and traditions of urban areas, and really post-industrial society in general. Maybe not all the effects of globalization are positive, but there is definitely something useful to it. I soon remembered the way and confidently headed off in the direction of Himitsu's grandmother's house. You're gonna show up at midnight, homie? Really? God, it's one thing to just drop in unannounced like this. That's already just fucking crazy in and of itself. But to show up unannounced at fucking midnight and be like, damn girl, I just really wanted to see you. That's fucking weird. Get a hotel room, stay the night. In the morning, you go see them, right? That's if you're gonna play it that way, right? But nah, homeboy said I'm gonna show up to their house midnight and be like, nah, it's gonna be all chill. It's not gonna be all chill. It's just not. It's just not. I'm already cringing at what's gonna happen next. I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I already hate it. I already hate it. I already hate it. I already hate it. All the houses look quite similar, especially in the dark, but following a gut feeling, I managed to find the right one. Oh god, no, I don't want to read this. I don't want to go any further. You know what? Himitsu's route has been great. I think it's time to stop here and move on to a different one. Hey, yo, Ellie, how you doing? Like, Kagome's route never made me cringe like this. Not once. Not once. There were times where Nikolai made some actions that I was quite disagreeable with, right? Where I was like, dude, why the hell would you do this? What is wrong with you, right? But this is just, the level of just how cringy it is, how awkward it's going to be, how just fucking weird it is. Just, this sucks. A copper plate engraved with the word Ito glistened in the moonlight, Himitsu's father's surname. Yeah, that's great. The plot of land wasn't fenced off from its neighbors, and the garden looked neat, not like the thicket in my yard at all. Oh, God. I took a few steps down the road that led to the house, expecting memories to spring to mind, but that didn't happen. Yes, everything seemed familiar to me, but my heart didn't skip a beat when I cast a glance at the rakes and the hose, the rickety blinds and the stones neatly buried in the sand in front of the door. Oh. Maybe I just hadn't spent much time here before. Yeah, it's not a place you spend a lot of time, but you're still gonna drop in unannounced at midnight. Be like, hey. Like, what are you gonna say if it's not Himitsu that answers the door? Already, if it's Himitsu that answers the door, it's still gonna be weird. But I'm guessing it's gonna be either A, her grandmother, or B, her dad, who shows up at the door. Like, what are you gonna say? I want to see your daughter/granddaughter. I fucking took a taxi several hours out here, showed up in the middle of the night just because I want to see her. Like, that's, god damn it, I can't get over how fucking weird and awkward this is gonna be. Suddenly I heard a familiar voice coming from the yard. Couldn't understand a word, but it was clear that the voice belonged to Himitsu's father. Of course, eavesdropping wasn't a polite thing to do, but I was almost physically drawn closer. Still, it was amazing that out in these small towns, the Japanese still didn't worry about their safety, not even bothering to lock their houses. On the other hand, how would you lock a shoji? With a bolt? The door to the yard was open. I crept up as quietly as I could and looked inside.